Good afternoon and welcome to today's lunch break with the rabbi. Today is Tuesday, February 23rd, 2021. It is also the 11th day of Adar, which gets us even closer to the holiday of Purim. Purim begins this Thursday night, February 25th at 6:15 p.m. as we will begin with the Megillah reading, as well as it continues on to Friday with the four mitzvahs that are meant to be done on the holiday of Purim, which is hearing the Megillah, giving gifts of food to a friend, giving charity to two needy people, and having a festive meal. As we approach and get closer to the holiday of Purim, I want to remind you all that we are going to give you the opportunity to have all of these mitzvahs done, and that can be found on our website on jewishali.com/Purim RSVP. And please make sure to join us, keeping within all the guidelines and making sure everybody's safe, healthy, and well. But as we discussed, we are going to continue to talk about the story of Purim, the miracle of Purim, and its relevant application to our day-to-day life experience. Yesterday, we began and spoke about the concept of the Baal Shem Tov taught us that reading the story of Purim as of something of the past is not fulfilling the obligation of Purim, and we need to look for its contemporary and applicable application for us today in 2021. As we look at the story of Purim is one of the books of Megillas Esther, is known as the Scroll of Esther, and is one of the books of scriptures. But you will find something very unique. Throughout the whole book of Esther, there is one name that is not mentioned, and that is God's name. God is not mentioned in all of the book of Esther. Commentators want to say that the word Hamelech, every time it says the king, it's referring to God. But in an open and explicit way, we do not find God's name mentioned. The whole book of Esther is called Esther, which, as the Talmud says, why was her name given as Esther? Esther min haTorah minayin. Where do we know the concept of Esther? Was because she is concealed. She was a person who hid her identity from Achashverosh, hid her identity from the people. She was a person who was concealed until the time came that she should reveal her identity and come to the salvation and help the Jewish people. So the entire episode of the Purim story seems one of suspicion, one of concealment, one where we don't see God in the entire book, any mention of it. Why is that? Hasidism explains to us that there are two types of miracles that happen in this world. There are two types of events that shape history and shape our lives. There are natural events and there are miraculous events. Natural events are things that we've gotten used to, things that we, so to speak, suspect and expect to happen. For example, the sun going up in the morning and going down in the evening, the seasons of the time, and all the different nature, so to speak, in life that we've become to expect and gotten used to of how they should occur and how they are relevant in our life. Whether it's the water we drink, the food we eat, the business we do, the encounters that we have. And all of a sudden, when nature changes, there's a hurricane, there's an earthquake, there's a pandemic, we lose ourselves. What's going on? How is this happening? Why is this happening? It's not supposed to happen. And that's because we temporarily forget and cease to understand that everything that happens in this world every single day, God renews the creation from anew every single day, as we say in our prayers. God renews the creation constantly. So nature is a constant evolving concept. It is, so to speak, what we would call a miracle that we've become used to. An event which we've become expected to happen. Miracles are something out of the ordinary. When a plane goes down unexpectedly, and still in all, everybody is saved. A car accident where we're supposed to be demolished, but everybody still is saved. We then say, we call it a miracle. Why? Because we were expecting one result, and another result happened. Let's take the holidays that the Jewish people celebrate. Every holiday the Jews celebrate boiled down. There was a war, we won, let's eat. So let's take the holidays, Passover, miraculous events, the plagues, the crossing of the sea, the Ten Commandments. Or let's even take Hanukkah, the weak in the hands of the strong, the few in the hands of the many. These are all events that any simple person or any obvious person, or any person that has eyes, can see a miraculous event happen here. But while looking at the story of Purim, the story of Purim is concealed. One can easily interpret the story of Purim to say, well, the Jews had connections. The queen was a Jew, the minister in charge was a Jew, and therefore they conspired together and helped the Jewish people, and everything worked out. It is very easy for one on the outside to interpret the events in life, the events that happened around the story of Purim, to be a natural, seemingly event, which worked out in the politics of the time. It didn't work out. First, when they were on the wrong side of politics, and then they ended up on the right side of politics. It happens in every country, in every type of infrastructure, whatever it may be. But when we look a little deeper, and we see that God's name is not mentioned in the Megillah, over here, God is teaching us a greater lesson and telling us that the story of Purim is not just a miracle, which is what you see, but the greater miracle is the one you don't see. The greater miracle is the one that within a nature, God has orchestrated that nature itself should become a conduit in bringing about the miraculous events that it did. Because when a miracle happens, God has to shift nature. The world has to get some type of shakeup to change the natural events. When the sea started flowing up instead of going down for the Jews to cross. When the plagues happened just to the Egyptians, not to the Jews. When the Maccabees were able to wage war against the Greeks, and they were just a few. It was a shift of events which dramatically changed the way and the perspective of the world events. But that shift was temporarily. It didn't shake to the core. When nature itself becomes enclosed in the miracle, or when the miracle itself encloses itself in nature, it uplifts nature to an extent that it has the ability to transform everything around it. To the extent, as we take in the story of Purim, the victims become the victors. And the victors, not only are they victorious, not only are they able to take those who antagonized and tried to kill them, but they were able to gather their booty and be able to become victorious and become on top, but even stronger than before, which this ultimately led to the building of the second temple, eventually after this story of Achashverosh. So what we see from the miracle of Purim, an unbelievable lesson, because as we mentioned, we want to find its contemporary application in our own life. That sometimes, in going back in our theme that we mentioned yesterday, it's not always what you see is the miracle, it's more what you don't see. And very so often in our life, and every so often, we come to realize that the small things in life are what count most. We wait for grand events, for big spectacular fireworks to see, and to wait for things to mobilize and shake us. But really, the greatest miracles are happening right under our eyes, right in front of us, and we're not even cognizant and realize to take a moment to appreciate them. The very fact that we wake up in the morning and our feet are on the ground, and we are able to walk and talk and do all the things that we do is a miraculous event, something we have to always be thankful for and appreciate. And the more we're thankful, the more we appreciate it, the more we'll be cognizant of the miracles in our lives that happen, the ones that we see and the ones that we don't see. It is every single day that these miracles is what makes us greater and stronger people. Because the word miracle in Hebrew, as you know from the Chanukah dreidel, is nes. And the word miracle in Hebrew, the word nes, in Hebrew, doesn't only mean miracle, but also means a banner, a mast of a boat that keeps the sailboat and gives it direction. And is the root word of the word challenge, nisayon. What God is telling the Jewish people then, and he tells us today, that there are miracles happening every single day in our life to give us direction and to help us overcome the daily challenges and grind that we have to encounter. Over here, the Torah, the story of Purim reminds us, just like Mordechai and Esther in their time, didn't give up and capitulate to the decrees of Haman and Achashverosh. They weren't going to allow the Haman's decree to drown them and say, what can we do? This is what the bureaucracy, this is what the government demands. They were able to stand up with self-sacrifice against the Hamans and Achashverosh, the ruling power of the country at the time, though they governed the world and there was nowhere for them to flee. But they realized that the way that we are going to overcome the enemy is when we realize that we are not governed by nature. It's not what we expect to see. It's with the miraculous events that are underpinning, that are making everything happen, that's eventually going to change the course of the way we see life. My friends, don't allow nature to dictate your life. You have a miracle brewing within you. There's a miracle happening every single day within us. Capitalize it. Use it as a mast to overcome your challenge. Remember, the story of Purim is alive and well today. We can stand up to any ruling power, to any government, to any official, meaning ruling powers within ourselves telling us we can't do it. We could do it because we're a miracle. And miracles always happen, will happen, and continue to happen. We just need to open our eyes. And when we are cognizant of it, they continue to flourish and to grow and make us better people. God bless you. Have a great day. Tomorrow we will continue on the subject of Purim, recognizing the importance of self-sacrifice that helped the Jewish people, motivate them, and mobilize them to change the world. God bless you. Have a great day. Looking forward to celebrating Purim with you. Happy Purim.